Shmai guys, welcome back to the Life to the Full podcast, the podcast that helps you make the most of your time here on Earth. It is Christmas Eve. It's Christmas Eve. Can't believe it's Christmas Day tomorrow. And it's so good to be back just with a little reflection on Christmas just before you wonderful people with great tasting podcasts switch off for a day of rest, hopefully with your loved ones tomorrow. Or if you're listening on Christmas Day, Merry Christmas! I just wanted to get back on the microphone one more time before Christmas, just to share some reflections that I actually shared at church a couple of years ago on frankincense. Now, I've always wondered what frankincense was, and if you have too, you can find out right now. I don't always put overtly Christian stuff on this podcast, but this is a message that I did bring at church, so just enjoy, sit back, relax, and discover about frankincense. Smells have an ability to take us places in our minds. Smells can even transport us back in time. The smell of deep heat is enough to take me back to my rugby days at school, where the changing rooms were full of the smell of deep heat and the buzz of the upcoming game. The smell of Lady Grey tea takes me back to the maths department office at Maidstone Grammar School, where I'd sit and have a cup of tea at the end of the day. Can you think of a smell that transports you somewhere? A smell that takes you to somewhere in your youth or childhood? Or maybe a smell that reminds you of a special occasion? What about Christmas? What smells do you associate with Christmas? Christmas trees? Cinnamon? Mulled wine? Frankincense? Maybe not frankincense. I have no idea what it smells like. Until very recently, I, like many of you, I would imagine, or maybe I'm just projecting my lack of knowledge onto everybody else, had no idea what frankincense was, nor its significance in the Christmas story, despite having heard about it every year since I was a small child. It transpires that frankincense is the resin from boswellia trees, which are mainly found on the Horn of Africa, the Arabian Peninsula, and into India. Have you ever seen a pine tree which has been cut and touched the resin and thought, golly, this is sticky? That's the kind of thing we're talking here. Centuries ago, people would make cuts in the boswellia trees and collect the resin. Because it requires such particular growing conditions, it was a rare and extremely expensive commodity. The resin was then used to make incense for burning and perfume. This ancient tradition of collecting frankincense and using it to make incense still continues today. Frankincense makes its first biblical appearance not in Matthew chapter 2, the story of the Magi coming to worship Jesus, bearing gifts, but in Exodus 30. God tells Moses how to make a special incense using frankincense along with some other ingredients, and that incense is to be used in the tent of meeting. The incense from the specific formula is said to be considered holy to the Lord. Aaron, the brother of Moses, and his descendants were the people anointed by God to bring sacrifices to God on behalf of the people of Israel. The tent of meeting is where Aaron, the high priest, came to offer holy sacrifices, and where he would meet the Lord. This was where holy Yahweh met mankind. It wouldn't be the last time that frankincense was where holy Yahweh met mankind. What is the significance? Did the wise men know that frankincense was used by priests in Israel as an offering when coming before the Lord? Maybe. Did they know that by bringing a gift of frankincense to Jesus, that they were foreshadowing how this child would go on to be the great high priest who would be holy to the Lord and be the intermediary between mankind and the God of the universe? Probably not. But God knew. God knew that his Son would one day soon restore the relationship between the created and the Creator once and for all. Aaron was the only one who could sacrifice to the Lord on behalf of the people. Jesus was the only one who could offer the ultimate sacrifice on behalf of the people. How will we respond? As we consider the frankincense in the Christmas story, let's remember its use as an ingredient in the incense burned when God met with his people. And let's also consider who that child would grow up to be. Here are a few verses from Hebrews chapter 4. Therefore, since we have a great high priest who has ascended into heaven, Jesus the Son of God, let us hold firmly to the faith we profess. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to empathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet he did not sin. Let us then approach God's throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. Whether you're a believer or not listening to this podcast, this Christmas, the frankincense reminds us that we can approach Father God through Jesus' sacrifice. Come and present yourself to him. Come and worship Jesus like those wise men and enjoy his presence. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas wherever you are in the world. A big Frohe Weihnachten to all my German listeners. Nadolig Llawen. I'm hoping to be back one more time before the end of the year with a podcast on goal setting to prepare you for the 1st of January, where you're going to be thinking about what are you going to achieve in 2024. How is your life going to change? How is your life going to be better in 2024? Speak to you soon. Peace out.